From cornfields to high-rises, office to industrial, houses to hotels, and every other asset class in real estate, we cover the people, the projects, and the profit. Welcome to the Investing in Iowa show. This show is for go-doers, action takers, and business owners. It's for people like you who are sick of Uncle Sam taking a huge bite of your apple. If you're looking to get ahead of what's taking place in Iowa, learn who is doing what, and how you can get in on the action, you're in the right place. Hosted by Neil Timmons, an Iowa native who has been involved in over $300 million in real estate right here in Iowa. Recording in studio from West Des Moines, here's your host, Neil Timmons.
I've got Adam and Caroline Metzger here with me. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
It's good to have you here. See, for the audience's sake, who are you? Where are you from? What do you guys do?
Originally, I'm from Israel, born and raised in Israel. I came to the U.S. in 2005, September of 2005. I always knew that real estate is something that I wanted to do. I used to pick up the mail at home. And I was a nosy kid, and my folks would let me go pick up the mail and open the mail and process it. And I saw a check that came in, and I asked my father, "What's this check? I didn't really see you go work. What's this check?" So he says, this is some real estate that I'm inheriting from my mom and my folks, and this is part of the rent check. And we weren't big into real estate. My father wasn't big into real estate. He was a DJ. And so I got to ask him more. I got to learn about that from him. And so in 2005, I finished service in the Israeli Army. I spent 3 years in the Israeli Army. And I came to the U.S., started in New York. I started as a real estate agent. I figured that very quick that that's not really the direction I want to go. New York's sharky, to say the least.
Sure.
And so I said, okay, what's my next into property management, to real estate? And I thought about property management. So I knew someone. So I called, just pick up the phone. I called this guy that I knew I knew his family really well. And so I called him. I said, "Hi, my name is Adam. I don't know you. You don't know me, but I'm really interested in real estate. I understand you're in real estate. Can I come and meet you?" And he's in Los Angeles. I'm in New York at the time. I fly to L.A. I stay in a hostel. I have no money to my name. And I had a strategy. I said, I meet with him, and we had a great meeting. And then after, when the meeting is kind of ending, I said, this is great. If I could pay you to come work here, I would do it. I'm 23. I don't have any money. But I'll tell you what, I'm willing to come work for free. When I said that was a hook. He took me under his wing. And I was very fortunate to spend 2 years in Los Angeles working in property management. And that's where I learned really well about real estate and how to manage real estate. And so I have some cool stories about that, but we can keep that for a different time. Like firecrackers being thrown at me. I mean, I used to manage properties in Compton.
Oh, really? Yeah.
All sorts of interesting
stories.
Yeah. So fast forward, it's 2012. It's time for me to kind of get on my own. I feel like I'm kind of stuck there, and I always wanted to start my own business. So I look online and for a place in the U.S. that the economy is really strong and the numbers are really good. And all the research that I did pointed to North Dakota. So in 2012, we were boyfriend and girlfriend at the time. Yeah. I tell Caroline that I'm going to go up to North Dakota. You remember much about that?
Yeah, I was just going to interject and say, I got a conversation saying, "I'm going to North Dakota. Do you want to come with me?"
That was the text? Yeah?
I don't think it was a text. I think it was in person.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
We were just dating at the time, and I said, sure, why not? So we moved to Dickinson, North Dakota.
Yeah.
You marry the woman who moves to North Dakota with you, my friend, right?
Yes. Definitely so.
All right, so North Dakota, it was an oil boom. That's what was taking place.
Yes.
Yeah.
Crazy oil boom, insane. I mean, in the history of books, this is going to be really something that's written for sure. I would buy houses. I'd be all in for $80,000, and I'd get $4,500 a month from an oil company. A 2-year lease, check in the mail, no issues, no, just amazing returns, amazing. Now, of course, big returns, big risk.
Yes.
And 2015 comes along and there's a bust, the oil bust. And so it goes from $140 a barrel to about $26 a barrel. The writing is on the wall. In fact, we experienced serious rent decline. Sure. An apartment that I would rent for $1,750, the same unit would rent for $350 at the bust. So I had to navigate and manage that decline, and I'm very thankful for that experience because it taught me a lot. And so, so North Dakota was amazing. It was obviously very cold, but we had a great time there, and I'm very thankful for my time in North Dakota for sure. So 2015 comes, we sell, the writing's on the wall, the bust is here, so I sell as much property as I can in 2015, finally have a little bit of money to my name. When you have something to lose, you have something to lose. If you don't have something to lose, you don't have something.
Yeah.
And so I love the Midwest, very business-friendly, landlord-friendly. And so I looked for places in the Midwest, went to different cities here in the Midwest. And when I came across Des Moines and visited Des Moines, that's the place I chose to invest in.
Yeah. Yeah. And you've been here since what year?
2016.
2016.
People ask us all the time, how did you guys end up in Des Moines, Iowa? And I always tell them, my husband just pointed on a map. We could have ended up in a lot of different places, but he liked a capital city. He liked the university system here. There was a lot going for it. So it was just kind of, we could have ended up a lot of other places, but we are in Des Moines, Iowa. I like it.
So you come here in 2016. What do you do?
Buy my first property. Yeah, it's a property. We just sold it recently on the east side. I think the writing was on the wall for me. Just the numbers made a lot of sense. So I slowly start learning the market and really getting my foothold here. So we started buying some houses, and one thing led to the other. I was really, at some point, I was buying 3 to 4 properties a month. That was my goal there, and that's what I did.
Primarily as rentals?
Yes.
All houses, all rentals? Right.
A multifamily.
Right. We graduated from houses eventually a little bit to more of the multifamily. You have to choose. More of the recent acquisitions that we did in the last few years is some land and things like that.
All right. Talk to me about the single-family portfolio roughly, maybe at its peak, or where is it at today?
Where we are today. So today I try to focus more on bigger deals and not so much on single families anymore. And so that what we found to be very helpful actually is to sell properties on contract.
Oh, yeah.
And that's something that's been a great addition to our portfolio and our income stream, because we take a lot of the quote unquote headaches aside. And so, we have done several of those, and it really seems to be working out nicely. And what I like about it also is that you really get to help people that on a day-to-day basis, they won't get a loan from the bank. Yeah, we give them an opportunity. Yeah. Granted, we charge for that, but it's fair. Yeah. It's very fair, to be honest. And I think it's a win-win situation for everyone.
I want to go one step ahead of contract sales. You've got rental properties. You're managing these rental properties. What was the genesis of going to contract sales? Was it a problem, or you just happened to see an opportunity?
Yeah, there's a problem, but I'm not allowed to say it on camera.
Well, for the audience's sake, I don't know what the problem is. The reason I ask is because I see a lot of people move or migrate towards contract sales, because when you're dealing with, let's call it Class C rental properties, in Des Moines in particular, it is challenging, not just from a city standpoint, where here's a list of all the things that one has to do or one needs to do, and all of a sudden you feel like you're building a brand new home, and you're like, okay, well, that at that point, if I'm required to do that, I can't keep the house. The numbers don't work. All the way to, even if I did do it, given where it is and the types of tenants we attract in this particular neighborhood, oftentimes don't keep. It's challenging for them to keep the condition of that house up, and all of a sudden your wear and tear erodes all of your profit.
I think there's a couple different answers to that, but I think a big one is the story that Adam told in the beginning of receiving that check in the mail. You don't totally just receive a check every month and you don't have to do anything, but it's one step closer to achieving that.
Right.
That really passive income. You don't need to send a maintenance guy to unclog a toilet, to unclog hair that's in the drain. So you definitely remove some day-to-day challenging tasks associated with that property. There's also more pride of ownership. So there isn't the wear and tear, or you're not responsible for that wear and tear.
Right.
So there are numbers that you need to figure out. There's still property taxes that need to be paid. You still get things from the city because you're still the title holder. So there's still sometimes unlicensed cars that you need to bother the contract sale buyer,
Right.
that they need to take care of this, or it will end up back on us at some point as the title holder. But you do remove a lot of the day-to-day headache.
Yeah, and I think what I like about this also is that you get to lock in your profits. You get to lock in your income. So there's, of course, pluses and minuses for that as well, because you potentially give up some of the not some, you give up all the upside in a sense, and there's still upside, and I think there's going to be upside. But yet again, you get to help people, and that's really what we do in this business.
Yeah, you sell it on contract, you become the bank. Ultimately, when a bank doesn't exist, meaning these contract buyers oftentimes are not bankable, if you will, from a loan standpoint.
Yeah.
And you give them an opportunity and you empower them to become homeowners. And to take that, as you said, Caroline, that pride of ownership, and ultimately take better care of the property. Why contract sales versus lease with an option to buy?
Good question. So lease with an option to buy, you're still kind of stuck in the management part of it, the turnover, less pride of ownership. It's an option for them to buy in the future, but it's not guaranteed they will. Sometimes we do use that and utilize this vehicle, especially if we're not very confident about doing the contract sale with them. So at that point, we will do a lease with an option to buy and keep that control more on our end. Make sure they stand behind the initial lease agreement, which is a contract like any other contract. And if they adhere to the terms and conditions that are there, and we see that it's working out, then we'll move to the next step of the contract sale itself. So I think that's kind of like the nuance there.
We're also more of a mom and pop operation. So you walk into Wells Fargo, it's pretty black or white.
Correct.
For us, it's more of a gray area. So if someone comes with great credit, not a lot of money for a down payment, but they tell us in 6 months, I'm going to have this chunk of money, or I can save this amount of money, we're able to sit down and get to know the person and come up with a deal that benefits everybody, which I think is something unique about being the bank.
The ability to be creative and structure.
On both sides, by the way, we're not just contract sellers. We also like to buy on contract as well. And, in fact, I think that's a great way to get into real estate, especially if you're at the beginning. We're very much buyers on contract as well. Very much so.
Huge benefits on the buy side on the contract. I know the night and day from the two things we just described. You selling on contract in the scenario which you do, generally very beneficial dollars and cents wise to you, the seller. And buying on contract can be very beneficial to the buyer when structured correctly. And so give me an example of maybe a couple of the components of a contract which would be negotiated on your side to your benefit.
Yeah, as a buyer, right? Yeah, for sure. So I think one of the things I like the most about buying on contract is at the end of the day, you end up dealing with a lender that's, again, a mom and pop and not a big financial institution. And so there's so much more flexibility, there's so much more understanding there. And it's much easier to work with an individual than to work with a big financial institution.
Right.
especially if and when things go south, which could happen in this world. It has happened in the past. And so when you work with the seller as a buyer, you end up getting a much less exposure, much less. It's a risk management that kind of sense. And so I think that's one of the
yeah, versus dealing with a bank with perhaps an unlimited personal liability, unlimited personal recourse. You limit some of the recourse, generally speaking, to your down payment.
Yeah.
If it doesn't work for whatever reason, the property goes back.
Yeah.
Highly unlikely, but you do have limited exposure, as you said.
Very true. I will say the last one I've done was really, really cool. The seller came up with one of the terms she wanted to put in there was that I will personally guarantee the interest that you're supposed to make on that loan.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was a commercial deal, so it's a little, she's savvy there. Yeah. I thought it was very interesting. Yeah, so we agreed on the price, but if I, God forbid, don't stand behind the contract, I can give the property back, but she just wanted me to guarantee that interest. So I agreed to that. Yeah, I thought that was good.
Hi, it's Ava Baukamp, the Investment Relations Manager for Neil's firm, Legacy Impact Investors. I'm inviting you to join us for our next investor workshop, our monthly legacy briefings. In these tactical Zoom calls, we cover topics and case studies for subjects such as taxes and depreciation, navigating macroeconomic shifts, and evaluating deals as a passive investor. At each virtual workshop, we are joined by an industry guest who covers their topic in 45 minutes or less. No fluff, no pitches, just education and conversation with an expert each month. Every workshop ends with live Q&A from Neil and our guest. All briefings happen on the last Tuesday of the month at 3 p.m. Central. If you can't make it live, recordings are sent out exclusively to those who've registered in advance. To join us on the last Tuesday of this month, visit legacybriefing.com. Go to legacybriefing.com to register. If you're a first-time registrant, I'll send you a free resource at sign up. Head to legacybriefing.com and I'll see you soon.
Yeah. I'm curious as to how long's the term on that?
5 years.
5 years.
5 years.
Yeah. It's incredible what can get negotiated.
Yes, I think creative deals is the way to go. And that's something we've been working on for years. I go to seminars about it. There's guys like Peter Fortunato, all OG of real estate type deal, and Bill Cook, John Schwab. So many. There's Jack Miller that's not with us anymore. Those people I highly recommend you guys, everyone that's listening, kind of try to follow them.
I'll share this one with you, and then I want to pivot to another one. Not to dominate the conversation, but I'll share one that we did about 2 years ago. We bought a self-storage facility, $1.4 million, and it bought it on contract, so seller financing, $200,000 down. So that left $1.2 million to be financed. Seller financed the whole thing, $1.2 million, 5% interest rate, interest-only payments. And here's the kicker. Ready for this? 20 years.
Wow.
Fixed. All one has to do in that scenario is just make the payments. Inflation will do its thing, right? $1 today is not worth the same thing as $1 tomorrow. So $1.2 million today is not worth $1.2 million 20 years from now. It's a mere fraction of it, right? And so I like where you're headed, or where your head is, and what you're doing on the creative finance side, because tremendous things can happen there.
Yeah, to echo what you said, I really agree. And usually you can really negotiate a better interest rate than even the bank at times. Yeah, that's very true.
The single family, do you still have single family rentals today?
Yeah.
And then I'm curious as to how you manage those today.
I'm going to let Caroline chime in on that. She's been really helpful on the management side of things. So, yeah, we do this. How do we make the magic work?
He really wants to know, because he's not.
We were just talking about this. We put out a lot of fires.
Yeah.
Our goal is to be ahead of the fires, but property management is a lot of every day is different. You never know what the phone call is going to be. Is it about a vacancy that someone wants to come and rent it from you? Or is it because their ceiling just fell in because of water? So it just depends on the day. Yeah, it's mainly just putting out fires and trying to make everybody happy. Someone just said something really interesting, that when you are the landlord, you become everyone's dad. And if you have a family in there, you're the whole family's dad. And so that's what we deal with a lot too, is just trying to make everybody happy and comfortable and then get our rent in return.
What kind of systems do you use? Like property management systems and stuff like that?
Yeah, we use Appfolio. We have a good team. We have maintenance. So it's a lot of coordinating. And
Their staff, or they third party to you guys?
no, they work for us. Yeah.
I'm curious about how the two of you work together. I've seen a lot of husband and wives, and some work fantastically well, and some, a lot don't work together. They couldn't make it work. I'm curious, you guys come here from North Dakota, and clearly, Caroline, you got into this at some point on the business side. What drew you in and what keeps you in?
Well, I haven't always been in. I've gone through periods of being involved and not, and those ebbs and flows usually coincide with having children. We have 4 kids and small kids. And so he always wanted help, and so I would help, and then usually have a baby, and then my contribution was not in the business, it was in the other business. So and I feel like we do work well together.
I very much agree. Very much.
We're a good team. I would say in the past maybe 8 months, I've really gotten more involved on a daily basis. Before I was doing reconciliations and back end stuff, and now I'm really trying to head up more property management to take that off of his plate so that he can do other things like development and make deals. It's really hard. Someone else just told us recently, when you make deals, it's like a full-time job because you have to run all the numbers. You really have to be focused on it. And that's not something I do. So what I do is just free up putting out all of those fires so that he doesn't have to do that.
And I do want to take this opportunity to thank you very much, Caroline, for your help. It's been amazing. Every time things get a little overwhelming for me, it's like the voice of reason. And it's just been an amazing journey to have her by my side and really help me, help the business, and more importantly, again, help the people, help our tenants, our contract buyers, dealing with the city and getting all the permits that are needed, and just making sure we stand in line everywhere. I'm the disruptor. I make the mess, and then thankfully I have her to come help me try to get that mess put together.
He says all this now, but he hasn't gotten my invoice yet.
I'm afraid if he did, he'd have to file for bankruptcy.
I'll make a creative deal where I take...
You haven't seen creativity to see this way, huh?
That's a good one. I'm indebted to her, for sure. For sure.
I know what it takes to run a business, and I know what it takes in the people side to have somebody like that. Oh, you're right, and your best friend, your partner, to somebody you can trust wholly. It has to go a long ways, especially when you can complement each other, that yin and yang, to where, because property management is a completely different business than acquiring property.
So true. And when I was when I was brought into the business, and my mentors, they taught me buy right, manage tight. That's the saying. Buy right, manage tight. And so we always did management in-house, and we always want to make sure we are in the control and in the driver's seat. Yeah. And so even for me to release to a third-party management is much harder, where I have Caroline as someone I trust, and we really have the opportunity to work together. It's been amazing.
I'm of the opinion the only way money gets made in C-class properties is if you manage. Well, is through management, period. And then oftentimes it means you must manage it yourself.
Yeah.
In-house.
It also has given me a greater appreciation of everything that Adam has built and how much time he has dedicated to the business. We do 2 full-time jobs, plus we have other people in the company. So before, he was doing it all himself. So it's...
Thank you, yeah.
The offloading from him was a necessity.
And it really freed up a lot of my time to go and sit down in meetings with engineers now and learn a whole new language. Development is a whole new different ball game, and it's very interesting, but it definitely takes a lot more brain power, and you go out of meetings with more questions than answers type deal. And so it's
Talk to me about that, the land side and the development side of things. You seem like a person who enjoys taking on learning new things, and then kind of leans into some of the risk, right? North Dakota kind of ebbs and flows, right, from a risk standpoint. And land can be the same way. You can have some wild wins in the development into the business.
100%. Yeah, you're saying I agree with 100%. Yeah. So just in the North Dakota part of it was really boom and bust economy, and I said to myself, I don't want to be in this roller coaster. I want to have something a little bit more steady, more predictable, and Iowa historically has been very, very steady, even in downturns. Yes. You don't see the same decrease that you see in other coastal cities or big cities. So that was definitely one of the reasons why we also chose Iowa and the Midwest. And then as far as the risk profile, that's very true. When you get into land, first of all, I think it's very important to diversify within your portfolio as well. Yeah. So that was kind of where it started. And when you see a good deal, for me, it's we got to do it. We'll figure it out later. Now, that's one way to do it. And of course, there's other ways to do it. And each investor has their own DNA. That's important to understand your investor DNA before you get into anything. And so when we were growing the portfolio, we owned and managed at the height about 250 units on our own. And so it was time to diversify into land. So I started buying the land and more like a land banking.
Yep.
And then once you sit on it for a few years, like, okay, it's knocking on your door and say, let's do something. It's time to do something. So that's when we started looking into development. And full disclosure, I haven't started development yet. It's something that's very capital intensive.
Yep.
The risk is much higher. And so I'm slowly inching my way into it. And I feel like we're getting there for sure.
Well, you say you haven't developed, and I think to clarify, what I hear you saying and knowing you is the dirt hasn't churned, but there's a ton of front end work that happens long before the dirt churns.
Yes,
and those are the types of things that you're deep in.
Yes, and that's where again I give thanks to Caroline, because you need time for these things, and you need money, but you need time especially, and so I was able to, in the last 8 months or so, really focus more on the development side of things. And so that's been really very, very helpful, very helpful. So yeah, we sit down and you go into meetings with the engineers and with the city and just different entities, architects, landscape architects, land planners, utilities. You got to look at so many things, and it's just like playing chess.
Yeah, it's a fun puzzle to put together there.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah,
sure.
All right, is that what? Well, I'll ask you again. What are you most excited about this year?
Me? I'm really excited to get the operations working smoother, and that's something that has been happening very nicely. Thanks again. I'm very excited for the continued efforts in development. We're supposed to close on some more land here soon, and that's really something that's in the forefront of our mind right now. And then I'm also excited for what the market's gonna bring to us now. I think we're starting to see some deals that we haven't seen before, so I'm excited to go back to acquisitions mode. I think now's the time to buy. It's always a time to buy. You make your money when you buy, and that's when you sell. Right. I kind of know that. So I think we can lock in, even with this interest rate environment, some of those loans now, and then if they come down later, great, we'll refi. If not, at least we have something that's making sense now. And so,
outside of land, what are you looking to acquire?
Just a little bit of everything again. Multifamily, mixed use, single. We'll go back to single families, of course. Actually, we love single families. It's something I learned also in the recent years is single families are a great asset to own.
Everyone always needs a place to live.
Yeah. We have been getting into commercial, a different animal completely. much harder to lease, much more time on the market. We're experiencing that with some of our properties we have. But I'm excited to get those leased up this year for sure.
John, what are you most excited about this year?
Besides summer in Iowa?
Yeah, besides that.
Getting a better handle on the property management side for sure. Being on the front end of those fires, I think, is my main goal from the property management side.
Is that largely systems driven? You say front end of the fires. Does that mean through staffing or through kind of not having fires? Meaning there's things, system structures that go into place so they just don't occur.
Yeah, all of the above. Yeah.
And it kind of never ends on that side.
Right.
Right.
Being more new into taking that part of the business over by the reins is kind of playing catch up, and now finally getting to where I can see the benefit of the work and getting into a more, not secure place, but more on top, kind of overseeing everything and not just trying to keep my head above water.
Yeah. So it's that. There's no say, right, the systems run the business, right? And the people run the systems.
Right.
And it sounds like
his is much more exciting because he's...
Well, there's no doubt.
Yeah.
The management side.
I'm really excited about the tenants. I don't know.
At some point, buying becomes quote unquote easy, and we should. The most important part is the management. So what happens from the day you close on a property to the day you liquidate it, whatever fashion you do that. And so I think another thing that I learned and what I'm excited about, and I think that kind of chimes into what Caroline was saying, is at the end of the day, the real assets are the people, not the properties. So if we only replace those two P's, people and property, and put the people in front of the property, I think then magic starts happening. And that's what I think we're going to be focusing on this year, to really put the people in front of the property and in front of the profits. But that's where I'm going with that.
Lead there and the rest fall. I want to move on to the final segment, what I call the final three. Now, I'm going to let either one of you answer this, or both of you. How about both of you? This will be fun. If you could give one piece of advice to your 20-year-old self, what would it be?
Buy more property. I would buy property earlier. I would take the risk a little bit earlier. I think I'm pretty conservative with my risk profile, and I think if I look back, I would probably just consume more property.
Caroline, what say you?
As I get older, I always go back to, I would tell my 20-year-old self to always think what your mom would do. But I feel like and when I do that, I tend to go into the right position. But I think also to get more involved with our business from the start. I think whenever we do work together, good things happen for our family, for everything. So
4 kids didn't make themselves.
Every time we have one, people ask us. It's 4 boys, too.
4 boys.
Yeah, 4 little boys.
How about that?
Yeah, our youngest is not even 7.
Our oldest
is not even 7.
It's good to be. You have no idea what's coming.
I think you're right. I always look at her. I said, "Baby, I think this is only the preview."
I'm the eldest of 4 sons.
Oh, wow.
It is. It's fun. It's great for being in a family.
Any advice,
brothers?
To us?
Oh, look out!
Hang on.
Look out! Hang on! It'll be a tornado. Yeah. Well, it's fun from the outside looking in. We're gonna have to stay in touch because I love to hear how things develop, because both of your involvement in the business, it's gonna be fun to see what happens as the kids get older.
Yeah.
To see where they latch on, whose personalities lean in, and who sort of just maybe bent for a different line of work.
If you're a house flipper, execute the burst strategy, or do double closings and are in need of money, Little Guy Loans is your go-to lender here in the Des Moines area. Time is money. Loan approvals in 24 hours. Closings in 5 days. Little Guy Loans was founded by Neil Timmons, an investor just like you. Since he has been in over 10,000 homes in Des Moines, there's never an appraisal. Houses, multifamily, and commercial property loans up to $1 million. Check out www.littleguyloans.com.
2 books that changed your life.
For me, for sure, Rich Dad Poor Dad, that's the Bible of real estate investing. Bible. And then I'm a really, really big worshiper of Jim Rohn. And he has a book, The Seasons of Life. I love Jim Rohn. And when I discovered that he's not with us anymore, I was very sad because I wanted to go see him speak. But it was too late. So also don't wait too long before you want to go see someone speak or someone you admire, like I admire Jim Rohn. Yeah. Caroline?
My answers are not very good. I don't read business books. You're gonna have to cut this part out because
there's no requirement that the book had to be a business book to change your life. Anything that comes to mind. There's no wrong answer.
No.
Just kidding.
All right. Well,
that should go on the book that changed your life.
All right, let's see if I can get you on this one. This is a curveball. This is the fun one that I get to ask. If you were cast away on an island for a year, you only get 3 pieces of data each and every month to know how your business is running. What 3 things must you know?
Where's Wilson? First of all. I think, delinquencies. I'd like to know vacancy and retention. Retention of tenants, super important. So those.
I would say delinquencies for sure, just the rent roll in general. And then I'm wavering on maintenance or utilities.
Oh, utilities.
Yeah.
Elaborate on that.
There's a lot to know about utilities.
Yes, let's talk about that because I agree with you.
We have kind of done some outsourcing of our accounting, but one thing that I do always require my approval for is paying utility bills, because there's a lot you can learn looking at the last bill and the current bill. Is there a water leak? Did the tenant move it out of their name? Why are we even getting this bill? Why is this bill in the LLC's name and not in the company name? In the tenant name. Let's go put a notice, because did they move out and just didn't give us notice? So there's a lot of really important things that I learn from making sure that I look at all the utility bills.
I think we're kindred spirits, because every property, every utility bill, and every property we have, commercial or resident, doesn't matter. I see everyone.
Yeah.
Because I agree with exactly what you're saying. When you're that close, when you understand the real estate, not just the accountant can understand differentiations in a bill, no doubt. It's easy. It's understanding the next 4 questions you would ask yourself to go, do I need to dig a little deeper? What may have transacted? What could be? And sometimes it's pay the bill and move on because you've answered it yourself. And other times it's you got to lean in because that water bill is about to get real bad real quick.
Right. And making sure you have your Des Moines Water Works landlord lien agreement signed when someone moves into a single family house.
Yeah.
That saves a lot of money.
Yes. For those in the audience who don't know what that is, maybe elaborate.
So the water bill follows the owner of the house. The electric bill does not. The gas and electric follow the tenant, but the water bill is tied to the owner of the house. So we have been burned many times with a tenant leaving a $700 water bill. that now we're responsible for. But if you go in within 30 days of signing a lease on a single family house, it can't be a multifamily, but on a single family house, it's individual water meters, and you sign the Des Moines Water Works lien waiver agreement, I think it's called. I could be wrong on that, but that bill now follows the tenant. And it relieves you of responsibility for that unpaid water bill. And it saves a lot of money.
A lot of money. This has been a terrific conversation. I could talk to you guys probably for a long time, because there's a lot of things here. But for people, they want to find you guys, they want to follow you guys, they want to connect with you guys. What should they do? Where should they go?
They should go to our website, I guess, legacy515.com. And we also are on Facebook, under 515 Rentals and Sales, actually. So those two options. And you can look up myself, Adam Metzger, on Facebook or Twitter.
We'll get links below in the show notes for everybody. Last question. What should I have asked that I did not ask?
What should you ask that you have not asked? Well, you can come to airlines. I think you did you do an amazing job, first of all. So I don't know that there's one of those, but I think maybe some tips for maybe someone that wants to start in the business, So maybe we'll ask you, what would you advise?
We're going to turn the tables, huh? The very first thing I wrote down, because this is the second time it's come up in like 10 days now. In your story, you went and offered to work for free.
Yes.
This is the second time it's come up in almost a week. That would be it, because you're the second person to tell me that exact same experience. And both people, you and the other person, both have hundreds and hundreds of rental properties today. And they both started coming from a place of giving. And when you give and you pour, you always receive way more. It always comes back. Yeah. And so I think that thought of being in that position in learning, I try to instill this in my children who are teenagers, is when you go to a job and if all you ever leave with is a paycheck, you failed. You didn't learn enough. Right? Well, you usually knows way more than that. I think that would be it.
Yeah. Amazing. Very nice. How do you feel about when you grow, the business grows? How do you manage growing pains? And how do you manage adversity? Because that happens also. Say the way to the top is lonely. And sometimes, there's some collateral damage that happens. So how do you deal with that?
Oh, yeah. We've really turned the tables here. So your first question is...
I'm generally curious, but...
Yeah, no. Yeah, that's fair. Well, let's talk about adversity. It's understanding, he who has a why can accomplish any how. Nietzsche said it. It's keeping that in mind, because there are days where you get down and anything can happen. And so you better have a big enough why. And if there are too many days that's stuck up and you get too down and can't dig out, I would challenge you that your why is not big enough, that it's not big enough to power you through it. So it's understanding what that is.
Man.
Cool. This is a terrific conversation. Yeah. Well, I really appreciate you guys being here. This is fun, and I know we got to do a lot of things here. We touched on about every asset class, and so it's going to be fun to do this again in some period of time, because I want to hear how the land comes together, how things progress on the property management side, and what goes instilled here in 2024. Because I'm excited for the year for you guys. I appreciate you being here.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks for listening. If you're enjoying the show, may I ask a favor of you? Naturally, subscribe so you never miss an episode. But would you rate and leave an honest written review on Apple Podcasts? It does a lot for us here at the show, and I appreciate reading your thoughts. Great guests make for a great show. If you know of another Iowan who would be a great guest, or you yourself have interest in being a guest, well, get on our radar. Visit Investing in Iowa to fill out an application or recommend a guest. And if you want to connect with me one-on-one, go to LegacyImpactInvestors.com. investwithus.com. Click on the Invest With Us button in the top right corner, and there you can pick a time for the two of us to get on the calendar and connect. Until next time, keep investing in Iowa.